G'day, I'm Graham Cumming. When we live in the cities, we tend to take so much for granted. It's only when we move out into the country that we have to start to think about those important things like power, water and sanitation. So when Michael Wilson and his family built their new home in rural Australia, they were okay for power and water, and if they'd wanted to, they could have connected to the town's sewerage system. But they chose a dry composting system to look after their sanitation and at the same time provide valuable nutrients for their garden. So your major driving factor was the environmental side?
Yeah, simply that. We committed to that, committed to personal responsibility, committed to on-site systems, committing to dealing with our own waste, committing to trying to live a life that's closing nutrient and water cycles. So that's sustainability for us.
A bit of detective work led the Wilsons to the RotaLoo, a dry composting system manufactured by Environment Equipment. And when you see this device and how it works, you begin to wonder why there aren't hundreds of thousands of them in use.
Keep it simple, stupid. That's our philosophy. I mean, there are just some basic requirements one needs to get composting to happen. It's a natural process. It will happen. All we're trying to do is make the system efficient and recreate the natural environment for good composting.
So Buzz, can you explain to us just how the system works?
Certainly. If we take the door off, you'll find that inside we have a turntable or a carousel that have a number of these bins. There are actually 6 in this particular model and 8 in the larger ones for national parks. But what we have is a removable wedge-shaped composting bin, in the bottom of which we have these series of drain holes and air holes. We use a geotextile material like this, which allows liquid to come straight through and air to come straight back out again. Now this sits in the bottom, and all the waste coming down through the pedestal will fall into this, and the liquid will end up in the bottom of the outer container.
So the liquid goes through to the bottom, and the solids are maintained
absolutely
in there.
Yeah. Now that's very important, because what we're now dealing with is this whole system revolves around aerobic bacteria and not anaerobic bacteria. When you go to a normal toilet and you push the button, you actually take a mass of water and surround the poo in the water. That smell you associated with sewage is caused because we have anaerobic bacteria which are caused by the water and the poo mixing together.
So it's adding the water that causes the smell?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
By separating them, we're working with aerobic bacteria, which are the same bacteria you find in your compost pile in the bottom of the garden, and they quickly break up the organic material into a humus.
Inside the house, the toilet looks virtually as you'd expect, with one major difference. There's no flush button.
It is different, not really when you go to the toilet. That's very similar. It's just that you don't have the flush immediately afterwards, and then the ongoing maintenance for us is really harvesting those composting chambers that we've carefully brewed, if you like. Harvesting them and planting a tree on top of the compost.
But that's not a big job?
No, it's not a big job at all. It's a simple job that takes a sort of an hour or so, once every 2 months, and it's an enjoyable part of my gardening routine.
The effectiveness of the RotaLoo has already been proved with installations like this one at Ayers Rock, and dozens of other locations around Australia and the rest of the world, many of them environmentally sensitive areas.
In terms of pathogens or diseases, if you use water, you actually suspend the organisms, the diseases, in water. And when you flush them out through a sewage treatment plant or whatever, those pathogens are still in there unless they throw lots of chlorine and chemicals in to try and kill them. The only way you can kill pathogens is through a factor of heat and time. And that's exactly what the RotaLoo does. It isolates these segments and allows natural warm air to kill the pathogens. So when it comes out, it is clean, good humus.
Michael Wilson was breaking new ground when he decided to install the RotaLoo. He had to battle some bureaucratic red tape to get to where he is today, but as far as he's concerned, it was all worthwhile.
It's not, and it shouldn't be seen in terms of an environmental or green issue or a long-haired hippie issue. It really is a matter of just trying to restore the balance that is going to ultimately mean that our ecosystems are compatible with where we live as humans.